People often hold the impression that, like in this video, consultants sit in a boardroom and dish out fancy, expensive advice. And while some elements may find origins in truth, there's a lot more to the consulting industry than most media portrays. Webster's dictionary defines consulting as the act of giving professional advice. This is a very broad statement and includes a wide array of professions, including doctors, lawyers, and accountants. So, what kind of advice are we talking about? Well, at times, companies require a level of expertise that their current employees cannot provide. For example, when deciding whether to enter a new market, improving the effectiveness of the current business, or implementing new software and training employees to use it. In these cases, the company can hire and train individuals to address this lack of expertise, or the company can look outside for this help. The reality is that consulting is incredibly diverse, and many scenarios are far from what you just saw. Firms may specialize in different industries like energy, healthcare, finance, or nonprofit, and focus on various aspects of helping those businesses, from strategy to operations to IT or engineering. And accordingly, the work that these firms do and the roles these consultants play vary quite a bit. So, what do consultants actually do? Well, let's take three types of consulting as an example: strategy, operations, and IT. Strategy consulting firms may help companies analyze market data to determine which markets in Latin America to enter or whether production should be moved to Asia for lower cost. Operations firms may help analyze a company's internal operations in order to find opportunities for improvement. For example, to help a chocolate company make more to supply growing demand, or improve quality of paint production so they can stay competitive in the marketplace. And technical consulting firms may have projects focused on integrating a new software system with existing systems, or support detailed design of a new power plant.
And typical responsibilities of a consultant will vary depending on the industry, the specialization, and even the culture of the firm. So depending on the kind of firm that you're at, the nature of the work that you're doing as well, what you do every day could include things like analyzing data and problem solving. It could also include leading teams and coaching clients, working directly with them. And it can also include things like building presentations or implementing software. So who can you be doing this with? You could potentially work alone or with a small group of people from your firm. You also can work directly with clients, so either in small or large groups. And where does this take place? Well, you can be working from your office or the client's office. You can also be out in the field, or you could be flying to a different city every single week. So there are a lot of great reasons to choose consulting. Firstly, there's an opportunity and potential for incredible challenge and the ability to have an impact right away. You get exposure to many different industries and business leaders because the kind of work that you're doing can change very frequently.
So I thought I wanted to work for a racing team, like Indy or NASCAR, coming out of school. And I had all these electrical and mechanical engineering skills that I wanted to put to good use. And what I found was, through learning more about these careers and doing a few internships, that career path would end up with me designing one part the first year, then maybe three the next, and 5 and 7, and then it would take me 10 or 15 years to actually have an impact on a broad system that you could actually walk up to a car and notice. And what I really love about consulting is that it allows me to use all of these engineering skills, which I find incredibly exciting, in a broader setting. So I get to work with a client to make a very large impact on their bottom line, while also getting some of the same things that I would get in an engineering job.
So coming out of school, I knew I wanted to look for one thing in my job, and that was to never stop learning. And I loved consulting because it's given me the opportunity to always be challenged, whether that means understanding very clearly where my piece of work sits in the bigger picture, or understanding how my team's work impacts the client's bottom line, or leading others, or simply being able to adapt to a constantly changing environment that's very dynamic, whether that means different industries or interacting with client members from different levels of the organization. And I think all these skills set me up to do really anything in the future, from more consulting to working in industry to graduate school or any other number of options.
The question to consider is, what's right for you? If you remember only one thing, just remember that the consulting industry is incredibly diverse, and there are a lot of options to choose from. You should choose the right path for you, and hopefully consider consulting as one of those options.
All right. What did we get from this short video? Who wants to start the conversation? Okay, Vanessa, please.
Hello. So, from the video, I got that the consulting industry is incredibly diverse and it exposes people to many industries and it can be worked from different parts of the world and from home and from offices. Yeah.
Thank you, Vanessa, for starting. Yes, it's incredibly diverse. So whatever thing that you are into, you can have consulting for that. Thank you. Let's take Daniel Efifa Chum Berima.
Yes, Anders. So from the video, I realized consulting in the broader perspective is an act of giving professional advice or when a company requires an expertise that they don't have, and then you give it out. And it comes in three focus areas, which is strategy, operations, or IT.
Thank you very much. So now the definition has been given, and then the areas have also been given. So consulting is about giving professional advice, and I'll add for a fee because it's not free of charge. So we give professional advice for a fee. So the professional advice could be medical, so that's why most of them we call them consultants. It could be in engineering, it could be in IT, and then the three main areas that they look at, which Daniel just mentioned: strategy, operations, and what? Who can remember the third one?
IT.
No, I've mentioned IT.
Technical.
Okay.
Technical.
Thank you
Or
very much.
engineering.
Engineering, IT, and what?
Operations.
Daniel. Operations.
You offer operation strategy and technical.
Good. So you can work across these fields. So far as you are giving professional advice for a fee, it is called consulting. And there are various ways that we also do consulting. It could be on anything at all within these subfields. So that's fine. Oh, please, I saw some hands up. I still need to see them up, unless if I've said it already. So what else did you hear? Okay, Beatrice.
Thank you, Anes. I think when they interviewed some of them, the reason why they chose consulting, some of the reasons were that the engineering person said that he will be able to use all his engineering skills in a broader space rather than working in an organization where you would focus on a particular area. And then the other person said that he would have opportunity to always be challenged because in consulting, you get to meet a lot of people and then you have new challenges. And he loves to learn every time. So consulting gives you that opportunity. Sorry. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Beatrice. That is it. So consulting is challenging. Consulting is broad. It's challenging because, for instance, yesterday I was with someone who has to do training for kind of consulting for doctors on just communication. Now she's into communication. She stopped communication all these years. But there was a challenge. Now she was going to deliver it to medical doctors. Now the challenge was that, is she going to go with the same knowledge? Which the answer is a big no. Because you now have to understand the health industry, the health sector, understand the roles of the doctors or the other health workers who are going to be part. Now she has doctors, she has nurses, she has laboratory people, she has security, all from the organization that she's handling. So she has to be able to tailor her knowledge such that the doctors can get it, the administrators can get it, the security can get it, the nurses can get it, all the groups of people can get it. Now she also needed to know about the health industry to be able to use that for relevant examples, and then also to get relevant case studies and all that from that sector. If you are not going to speak to their needs, they will see it as not worth their time. You see, they are busy. Maybe 5-10 minutes into it, they realize, okay, but this one is common knowledge. They'll begin to use the excuse that, oh, we have an emergency. And it's a health sector, so definitely there are emergencies. Then they'll use that to just get out of your seminar. Then how do you also engage them? Can learn about their lifespan, their not lifespan, their attention span. So how long can you take the attention of the medical people, all things being equal? So you need to do your own research, understand them, and tailor it to meet their needs. What problems do they have with communication? So it's challenging. If you don't get it right, there will be a disconnect between what you're teaching and then the audience. So you are going to lose them. And that is why it's also very important that anytime before you start any consulting work, you have to do a little bit of diagnosis. Not even a little bit, it's very important you do in-depth diagnosis. Diagnosis is basically about data collection and data analysis, about the problems that they came to you for. So you go there either with questionnaires or you go to do interviews to understand in depth what are the issues with your communication? What are the issues with this problem that I'm going to look at? Why is there an issue? How does it affect the other operations in the organization? Everything you need to know. So when you are preparing or planning your interventions, you know the right medicine to give. It's just like a doctor-patient relationship. The patient comes to you, tells you about their problems. You have to be able to understand, ask questions, and that will be the diagnosis. Ask questions, ask them to do some lab tests and some other analysis, so then you can understand well what is going on and appropriately give them the solutions that they need. That's what the solution is, what we will call the interventions. Okay, what else did you hear? I saw a hand up, which I can't see anymore. My apologies, I wasn't ignoring you. Please, anything at all that you heard again in this video? Something that we've not talked about. Thank you. Is it Deba? Please go on.
So madam, my name is Beda.
Is what?
Beda.
Beda.
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Please,
You're welcome.
Beda, go on. First
So
time I'm hearing it though. Unique,
Thank-
very unique.
Thank you. So I learned from the video that consulting is a vehicle for transference of knowledge, usually from an expert to someone desperate for a knowledge in that facet.
Thank you. So it's the means of transferring knowledge from an expert to the place where it's mostly needed. So you need to know the area before you can actually do consulting in that area. And management consulting, yes, you have to be an expert in that area. With organization development consulting, you don't have to be an expert in that area. You just need to be an expert in the process, how the thing should roll out, but not what it should be so much about the content. But with management consulting, yes, you have to be an expert consultant. It's just like you're going to the hospital. If you are going for you're pregnant, you're going to see the doctor, you go and see the expert in O&G, not the expert in dentistry, not the expert in pediatrics. No. You go in for the right expert. So in the same way, when you are also going into consulting, you have to be an expert in that field. You have to be able to understand the field. You have to be able to give the right knowledge. Otherwise, you're going to kill organization. Remember, the analogy with the doctors, we are also organizational doctors, consultants. So they'll come to us for advice. We need to be able to assess things well, analyze things, diagnose them, then give them the right interventions. So thank you. Any other thing that you picked up? Any other thing that was picked up from the video? Charlotte, what did you get from the video? Charlotte. Hello, Charlotte. Hey, Charlotte. Okay, Hagan.
Right.
Hagan,
Good morning, Prof.
good morning.
Most of it has already been said. So the three main focus of consulting being strategy, operations, and IT or tech, and the fact that it requires your expertise in that field to be able to transfer knowledge or give solutions to your clients. And then it can also be outsourced. You can develop training from within to be able to give the solutions, find the solutions to the problems from within. You can also outsource them from professionals outside.
Thank you very much, Hagan. And I'm glad you spoke because you've also brought in one thing that we all forgot to talk about. So yes, it can be outsourced. And that also means, yes, we can have an internal consultant. So there are two types of consultant. We have the internal consultant and we have the external consultant. The internal consultant is employed by the organization as one of their employees. So in big, large scale organizations, they have their own internal consultant. So their responsibilities are to identify areas of changes, advise the organization on how to change, and then help them to go through the change process. Then we also have the external consultant that we can fall on at any time. We don't necessarily have to have one consultant like this is our external auditor. No. We can fall on anyone at all outside the organization who is a consultant and has expertise we are looking out for to come in, help us with the issue. Once we are done, we don't need their services. They go on with their lives. We also go on with our own lives. So there are two types of consultant. Thank you. I can see a hand up. Let me see the name. Okay, two hands. Okay, John, please go on. Then I'll
Yes,
come
Prof.
to
So
yes.
following your immediate past explanation, if the firm contracts, let's say, professional on retainer basis, to provide such an maybe opinion on matters that concerns the firm, as time goes on retainer basis, would that be internal or still external?
Please come again with your question.
A question is on a distinction or establishing that there are two types of consultants, external and internal. So if the firm contracts another on retainer basis for professional advice or consulting in that regard, would that be internal or external consultant?
It's an external consultant coming in.
Although on retainer?
Yes.
Okay, I asked because you mentioned that the internal guy is within the company. He's being, he observes and offers advice as and when, and again, that looks to me like although the external guy is not in the company, by virtue of the retainer system, which means that he's easily accessible at any time that the company needs him, and not necessarily when there's an issue and they go to him for him to deal with.
But they brought the person from outside the organization.
Yes.
The moment the person is not part of the organization, we bring them from outside, they become external consultant. Yes, I also know that at a point, the external consultant can be retained as an employee and not a an independent contractor. The moment the person is not considered an independent contractor, becomes part of the organization, so then changes from external to internal. But if the person is still a contractor that we fall on, it could be that we've decided that, okay, anytime we have an issue, this is the consulting firm we will fall on. It still is external.
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome, John. Let's take Charlotte.
Good morning.
Good morning, Charlotte. Can you please speak up a bit?
Sorry, please, when you called me, I had a little challenge with my tech.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
what I did in the video is that the consulting has to do with the act of giving professional advice. And it can also cover a lot of fields like management and the rest.
Okay. Thank you so much. So yes, consulting is broad and it's the act of giving professional advice. Please, it's professional. It's not about taking your case on a radio talk show and everyone calling in. No, people who don't even know about the case will call and say, okay, so I joined in late. What's the case about? And then they are told the case, and right there they give them responses. No. So it's well structured. It's not that they just come to you and then you start giving. So it's well structured, and we'll go into details very soon. All right, thank you very much. Let's move on to our next video. This one is very short, so I need you to pay close attention. It's very short, extremely short.
Welcome to Zero to ProTraining.com. In this video, we will talk about what is management consulting. Management consulting is the practice of helping organizations to improve their performance. Management consulting operates primarily through the analysis of existing organizational problems and the development of plans for improvement. Organizations may draw upon the services of management consultants for a number of reasons, including gaining external advice and access to the consultant's specialized expertise. As a result of their exposure to and relationships with numerous organizations, consulting firms are typically aware of industry best practices. Although the specific nature of situations under consideration may limit the transferability of such practices from one organization to another, consultancies may also provide organizational change management assistance, development of coaching skills, process analysis, technology implementation, strategy development, or operational improvement services. Management consultants often bring their own proprietary methodologies or frameworks to guide the identification of problems and to serve as the basis for recommendations for more effective or efficient ways of performing work tasks. Thank you for watching.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat this video because I told you it was short. I'm sure some people did not capture something. And also to reinforce knowledge, I'm just repeating the video. So try and capture as many points as possible. Sorry.
Welcome to Zero to ProTraining.com. In this video, we will talk about what is management consulting. Management consulting is the practice of helping organizations to improve their performance. Management consulting operates primarily through the analysis of existing organizational problems and the development of plans for improvement. Organizations may draw upon the services of management consultants for a number of reasons, including gaining external advice and access to the consultant's specialized expertise. As a result of their exposure to and relationships with numerous organizations, consulting firms are typically aware of industry best practices. Although the specific nature of situations under consideration may limit the transferability of such practices from one organization to another, consultancies may also provide organizational change management assistance, development of coaching skills, process analysis, technology implementation, strategy development, or operational improvement services. Management consultants often bring their own proprietary methodologies or frameworks to guide the identification of problems and to serve as the basis for recommendations for more effective or efficient ways of performing work tasks. Thank you for watching.
Okay, so what did we get from, oh, I think I've gone up, sorry. What did we get from this video? Daniel.
Prof, so from the video, it says that management consultants, they analyze organizational problems to improve the performance of that organization. And also it says that because the consultants are aware of the industry best practices, they are able to come up with what is best for each organization. And then they also bring out
Oh, please go on.
So they also bring out their own methodologies and ways to help improve the performance of the organization.
Thank you so much, Daniel. So Daniel has started off with, Beatrice, I'll call you in a minute. So let your hand be there. Daniel has started off with how the consulting is done. I mentioned it when we were analyzing the first video. So the organization will identify the problem, they'll take it to a consultant. Now the consultant does not start with, please hold on a minute. The first thing you do is to analyze the organization. So after you accept to do the work, you go into the organization to assess what is going on in the organization. And that is the phase we call the diagnosing phase. So the first phase is the entering and contracting, where the organization comes to the consultant with their challenge. Then we discuss the challenge and to understand where they are coming from. Then we agree we are going to do it. We will sign a contract. Okay, I'm going to do it for maybe 3 months, or it's for this long, and I'm going to be responsible for these things. You, the client, you are going to be responsible for providing us maybe with the human resources as support, administrative support, or a venue for conferences or seminars and workshops. And we are going to bring our own methodology. We're going to bring the consultants, and we're going to be collecting data and analyzing data. So we calculate everything, we charge. Once it's agreed, we sign a contract. The first job we do as consultant is diagnosis. That is where the data analytics come in. Before we undertake any work, we do diagnosis. And then we analyze the data, we collect the data and analyze the data. That is because it's just like doctor-patient relationship. Most of the times when we go to the doctors, we go to them with the symptoms, not the actual problem. Because we ourselves may not know the actual problems. So we go to the medical doctor and say, oh, I'm having headaches. I sweat a lot of late. Of late, I get heart palpitation. My heart beats stronger. I'm not able to sleep well at night. I get constant headaches. I get numbness in my toes. And then the doctor is just taking them all in. Afterwards, they begin to ask questions. When they are asking questions, they have a model in their mind. Maybe they start off with a particular disease. Let's assume malaria. They ask questions in line with malaria. Then they get to know, okay, the responses come in, they don't match malaria. Then they change it to another possible one. They ask questions along that line to find out what it is. All that they are doing is they are diagnosing, they are assessing the situation. They'll ask you, take your urine for lab tests, take your stool, go and take x-ray, go and do that, MRI. All these are part of the assessment. In the same way, we also assess the organization in different ways. But mostly we go there to find out from the people, not just the management, not just those who brought us the job. But for us, involvement of everyone in the organization is very important. So your research comes in here, where you have to do assess the sample size and do sampling. So you can say that maybe the organization is this number, but based on this sample calculation, I'm going to look at this particular number. Let's assume the number is 500. Then based on your calculation, you realize that, okay, you have to include 216 people. Then how are you going to choose those 216 people? You need to understand the various units or departments of the organization. I'm going to stratify so that all the units come in. It could also mean that you stratify based on the department, but then if you are going to go in like that, some sections may be cut off. So maybe you want to do further stratification along, if you are using, for instance, the university, along administrators and then lecturers. So then you are just not going to focus on lecturers and leave administrators out. So your sampling techniques come in here. Then you go in, you collect your data, whether you're going to be doing interviews or you're going to be doing questionnaires, you collect them. You can also fall on secondary data. And please, this is an in-depth lecture, so I hope you are making notes. Okay, you can also fall on secondary data. And that secondary data, we also call it unobtrusive measures. Now, the secondary data, that is data that has already been collected that you can use for your study. So the purpose for collecting it was not for you, but then it can help you. So the organization is saying that people are not committed, people are not meeting their target, people are coming in late. You can always get secondary data. Go to the HR, find out, do you have any attendance? Do you take attendance, maybe biometric attendance, and you have the record that can help me? You are saying that they are not producing. Do you have performance management appraisal systems? Can I get the records over the period of maybe, let's say, 3 years and how people are doing? So I'll be able to do trend analysis. That is the data analytic part. So you do the trend analysis on individuals to see whether they are improving or they are decreasing. Then with that, you can go to the individuals, not the specific individuals, but to the organization to do interviews to find out, okay, so I realized that 3 years ago, the performance of the organization was high, individuals were performing, but from 2 years ago, it started reducing, and this year it's reduced drastically. What do you think are some of the possible reasons? And then they will tell you their side of the story, because sometimes management will think that the workers are lazy, but the workers will also be seeing things that management are not seeing. But because of the rigid nature of the organization, they are not able to tell the management. So you do your diagnosis. That includes the data analysis. So diagnosis is about data collection, data analysis. So you do your analytics there, and then you can come back and meet the key clients. The key clients are the managers and all those who are going to be affected by the change, as well as all those who have the power to say, no, we are not allowing the change. These groups of people, they are representatives. You meet them, then you tell them the key, but please try and make sure that a number of people are there. You present your key findings on the diagnosis to them, for them to also further make input into it, or for you to also move on with, okay, so if we all agree this is the situation in the organization, what is the way forward? What would you want me to do? Then we agree on the way forward. Then you plan your interventions and you start the implementation of the interventions. So it's very important you do that analysis. Then Daniel also mentioned that we bring in our own methodologies. So the organization hardly, emphasis on hardly, would recommend a particular methodology. And even if they do, you have to assess whether that methodology would be right for you or not. The fact that it's a good methodology for the organization does not even mean that you know how to use that methodology. So you have to find out, if you're not comfortable with it, you have to change it. You don't go to war with with a weapon that you've never used before. So it's not on the battlefield that you are going to test your battles. So your weapons, no, you feel miserable. Okay, so thank you, Daniel, for that. Please, what else did we get? What else did we get, please? I saw a hand up, but the hand is no longer up, please. Was it Beatrice?
Yes, Ernest, Daniel mentioned that the consultants, they are exposed to best practices, and then because of that, it helps them in their consulting. And the video also mentioned that with this particular one, they are limited because you would have to look at the specific nature of situations. So whilst you were talking about the diagnostic, I'm just thinking that if they are able to do a proper analysis, why would the transferability of this best practice be a limit? Because I believe that could help them decide on not necessarily bringing every best practice into the business, but trying to scale it to what the organization needs. So it's a submission, but in a form of a question as well. Thank you.
Okay, so then the question aspect, please, I'm trying to get the question aspect right. How can you bring in expert knowledge be a limitation, or are you restricting it to the methodology?
So, it said that when they want to transfer best practices, because the consultants are exposed to best practices, it's good, but they are limited because they have to look at the specific nature of the situation. So what I'm saying is that if they are able to do the analysis very well, the diagnostic analysis, then it should help them to be able to know what particular best practice to bring in, and not necessarily bring in everything that they know as best practice to the business, because every business is different. So my question is, why would that also be if they are doing the analysis very well, why would this be a limit for them? Because at the end of the day, when they finish with the analysis, they should be able to know what best practice to bring, and not necessarily every best practice that they know. Because I've had an experience where some consultants would say that this is how we do it, and then the situation where we find ourselves is different, but they refuse to understand that this is a different situation.
Oh, okay. I get you. All right. So we are saying that the application of best practices or the transferability of these is actually a challenge. And that is because, yes, even though they are best practices, we need to look at the culture. So some best practices will not fit some cultures. The fact that they are best practices, it means that they are applicable across a number of organizations and industries, but does not necessarily mean that it will work with every organization. If all you have in your hand is a hammer, every other thing becomes a nail. So these people may think that, okay, this is the best practice. Oh, I went to Japan or I went to US and this is how they're doing it. And then the business is thriving and business are booming. And so it has to work in Ghana. One, the Ghanaian culture is different. Two, the structures in organizations in Ghana are totally different also from that of US or Japan. The leadership styles may not be the same. So they may believe in democratic servant leadership. Maybe the organization that you are taking it into, they use autocracy because that is what fits their culture. You can't take the best practice, for instance, to the military and say that, well, now the organizations worldwide are going democratic and that we have to be democratic. And so when you go to the war field, we expect that the leader should be democratic. When the opponents are coming on us, they are shooting on us, the leader, before they give the command, should turn to their followers and then ask them, should we shoot or not? And then they will deliberate for about 5-10 minutes. By the time they finish, they'll all be dead. So that is the concept behind the saying that it's not all the best practices that you can transfer. So yes, it's good, but it won't fit the military. The military, the leadership style, for instance, has to be autocratic. Everyone move left because lives are at stake. The risk is too high for us to be doing democratic government, democratic leadership on all that. On the war front, no. So in as much as, yes, this is the case, most of the best practices are also transferable, I have to say. But it depends on how you're able to change it. Even if they are transferable, there are some things you may have to change for it to suit the culture. Otherwise, it's going to be like water and oil. They will never mix. So the fact that it's saying that it's 224 formula doesn't mean that you go into every organization with 224. Maybe the knowledge base would be good, but it can't be 224. Maybe it has to be, I don't know if there's any formula called 125.
442.
Forward.
442.
442. So that tells you I'm not a football fan. Okay. So please, I hope the question has been answered, Beatrice.
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, so I'll take Samuel and then I'll go to John. Samuel.
Okay. Highness.
Yes.
I think the video also talk about some of the services rendered by consulting firms, which include change management, data analysis, strategic development, and technology implementation and others.
Thank you. So thank you so much, Samuel. So you see, when we started off, the first video kind of restricted it to 3. And I knew this video would add on, so I kept quiet. It's very broad. And even this one, it gave us just 6 other services, but they go beyond it. Everything that you can think of, you can have consultancy in. So this one looked at organizational change management assistant. Every organization will undergo change at a point in time. Some are going through mergers, some are going through acquisition, some are going through introduction of new technologies, some are going through change in their processes, some are looking at managing their supply chains and other things. Some are looking at maybe the accounting aspect, they introducing some new changes. Some are looking at going global. All these are changes that have to be managed. And so we need a consultant to guide us on the way forward. If you've never been to a place before, the best thing is to seek advice. Don't think you know all. Having the knowledge of the consultant is very important, it's very key in any management of change. And no organization can remain the same, you need to change. It is our responsibility as leaders to identify the areas for change. So constantly we should be seeing changes. You give birth to a baby, a year time, you expect that the baby at least is crawling, if not walking. So if the baby after 5 years is still lying on the mom's lap and not able to crawl or walk, then you know there's a problem. And so as managers, please, let's be comfortable with change. And that's also one area that we can be assessed as being effective or being productive or meeting the goals of the organization. No organization can remain the same. So you need to assess your environment, your internal environment constantly, the external environment, look out for possible areas of change, propose them. If you can't do it, get a consultant to sort you out, to help you. It doesn't mean you have failed, please. It only means you recognize that no one person or no one organization is the repository of knowledge. Even the university that is expected to be the repository of knowledge, we still get consultants. So please don't think that you can do it alone. Bring in the consultant to help you to manage the change. Because any change at all that you are implementing, it has effect on the larger organization. But without knowing this, you're just going to focus on the small change. And then after everything, you see that, okay, we've messed up a whole lot of. It's just like a car. Once you change one aspect, it affects the other aspect. We call something like alignment in a car. If one tire or one part of the system is not in alignment with the whole system, you're going to get issues with the movement of the car. So it's not able to move straight because there's no alignment. It's the same thing with organizations. So the first one is organizational change management assistant. Consultants come in to help managers with the process as well as the content issues, what we should change and how we should change. They can even come in to help identify where we should change. It's very important. Then the other services are development of coaching skills. So a consultant can come in and help the leaders to develop coaching skills so they can coach their the members of their unit or department to be able to develop specific skills needed for the organization. Even mentoring skills. Then we can also bring in the consultant to coach just the leader. So it may be a new CEO or MD that has been appointed. We will need to coach them. Even presidents need coaching. So the president can have a consultant to help coach the president. Okay, your appearance, how you have to dress, for which occasions, what is going on now, what you have to say, what you have to do, where you have to focus in. That is why every president even have a council of state. What they do is they provide the president with advice, and I believe it's professional advice that they are given. And so in this case, they are acting as consultants to the president. So no one is above consulting. It helps us all. So that is for development of coaching skills, process analysis. So the consultant can come in. So for instance, I can be brought into to do consulting for an engineering organization. They are into engineering. What they want to do borders on engineering and then the people aspect as well. Once I know the process, I can be brought in to look at the process, how it should flow, and not necessarily the what issue, what goes into what. So there would be, maybe they know the what issues, but how it should flow, I'll come in to guide them with just the process. Please quickly go online and get me process consulting. What is process consulting? Please let's share. Go online and get process consulting for me. Thank you, Gifty. Gifty also said some are downsizing. Yes, if you're downsizing, it's very important you also get consultants to help you. So you need to know how to apply the laws and how you can also engage the stakeholders so then you can have a smooth activity. Please, anyone, process consulting? Process consulting. Please,
Hello,
anyone?
ma'am.
Thank you.
Hello.
Go on.
Yes. Process consulting is a specialized form of management consulting where the consultants help an organization improve its internal process rather than simply delivering ready-made solution.
Thank you. So we are looking at how process always looks at how issues. So how do we communicate, for instance, with our customers and clients? How do we manage maybe employee absenteeism? How do we manage conflict? So how issues, we are looking at the processes that are in place. So for instance, if we want to, how do we even manage students right from when they apply through to admission, through to when they graduate? So the how issues. How do we manage these issues? So for instance, the students, our process now, the student will have to come up with a topic and submit the topic. I hope you all have your supervisors by now for your thesis.
Yes, Highness.
Okay, am I
We are
supervising?
waiting for your response.
Okay. Am I supervising anyone in this class?
Yes, Highness.
Okay, please, who and who? I want to meet you after class. Please. Okay, so let's go back. So you come in with your topic, you submit to your department. The department will appoint a supervisor for you. You agree with a supervisor on the topic. The topic could be changed, it could be amended, anything at all can be done to the topic or totally replaced. You start with it. The lecture, it would now, henceforth, it will be depend on the relationship and how the supervisor wants the whole supervision to go. Some will say bring in proposal, others will say bring in chapter 1, others will say bring 1 to 3 together. Is dependent on you and how often they expect to hear from you and all that. Then at the end, we expect that is the supervisor approves it, signs it. Then you go through the TDMS system, you upload your work, and then your supervisor will approve it, your coordinator will approve it. We assess your progress, and then you upload the final work. They send to the assessors, a third person to look at it besides your supervisor, the past comment if your supervisor, and then the internal, and now you're going to have an external because you are going to start doing how do you call it, defense. So if all three of you, if all three assessors pass it, then we go in for your defense. You come in, you defend the work. Once you pass, you do your corrections, you upload on the TDMS, etc., etc. This is a process. Now we can decide that. So we don't need a lecturer necessarily to be a consultant on how we can improve on these processes. Someone from outside, maybe in the corporate world, can come in and say, no, the processes are too lengthy. Let us cut it. Let us be efficient. It should be 1, 2, 3, 4, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You don't need necessarily someone who is a lecturer and has gone through the process. But someone with a different view from a different industry can come in and help us with a good process. For instance, the TGMS alone, where you have to deposit your thesis. Last year, some students were talking about it, that there are 32 steps. I'm yet to confirm it. I know there are plenty, more than 20, but I don't know whether it's up to 32. I can't confirm that. So if there are 32, we can get someone who is outside. Maybe if they consult me and I come in, they are going to tell me that, oh, it's because I'm a lecturer and I don't want to do it. And so it may not be taken lightly. But then if we take someone from a bank who is also into IT or who is into process and comes and goes, I know this is too much. The back and forth is too much. At any point where there's a break, it's going to affect the whole system. Let's cut it. This is how we can look at it. It will seem like it's a more objective way because that person has nothing to lose or gain from such changes. So yes, we can have process consultants, and it's also part of management consulting. So you don't need to be an expert in the field to do it. Okay, then we can also have what's the next thing they talked about? Technology implementation. Now, with the introduction of AI, most organizations are implementing technologies that will help them to make good use of artificial intelligence. And so some are even introducing robotics. So the consultant will help them in this field. If you are into it, you can help them what kind of knowledge base they will need before they can even operate these robots, and what kind of space, and etc. etc. So please put it at the back of your mind that very soon your colleague may not be human, it may be machine called a robot. Then that also even brings in the issue of ethics. So whoever is guiding this whole implementation of technology will also have to look at the issue of ethics, the ethics of it. Then strategy development. So you get a consultant to help you to develop a strategy. I know you are doing strategic management, so I won't go into details, but there are various forms of strategy: cost differentiation, cost differentiation, niche, market focus, etc., hybrid, and all that. So let's say you want to do differentiation, which is mostly about innovation and coming in with new ideas and changes in your products and services constantly. How do we do it? So the consultant will come in and help you to develop a good strategy and all that. The consultant can help you to develop a strategic plan, maybe a 5-year strategic plan, help take you through various processes, stakeholder engagement, SWOT analysis, where we identify our strengths, our weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We look at the pest analysis, the political, economic, social, and technological environment that we operate in. Then we can look at the various strategies. We agree on the strategy. We come up with the various activities and objectives we want to meet, and then we structure them such that we phase them out. So if it's 5 years, this is what we should have achieved. The second half of the 5 years is 2.5 years. What should we be targeting? So then when we get there, we know we are making headway to achieving our 5-year objective. Then we also break it down to the first year. What should we be achieving? What specific things? Who is responsible for what? Which unit is responsible for what? What training do we need to support our staff? What resources do we need to put in place? So the consultant will guide you in all these to develop a strategy. Then operational improvement as well. Okay, I think we spent so much time on it. Let me call, is it Eliano, please?
Good morning, madam. So the screen is not moving, so I just wanted to draw your attention. I didn't know whether it's deliberate or if you're expecting us to see the slides. The slides
Okay.
are not.
No, the screen is not moving because we are still discussing from the video. Just
Okay.
that I'm giving you knowledge beyond the video. So I expect you to make notes.
Okay, thank you.
So for unit 1, it's basically about videos and then discussion of it. And then I add some knowledge that you are not going to see on the slide. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome. Someone just put down the hand.
Yeah, honestly, it was me. It was the same question I was going to ask.
Oh, okay. Okay, so Dennis from Fidelity. Is it a way of promoting your organization? That's a smart way, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. I refuse to see Fidelity. I just saw Dennis. Okay. Any other thing we want to share from the video? Any other thing? No hand is up? Is that all? Okay, that's fine. So basically, that is what consulting is all about. Now let's look at some few ethics. So if you are a consultant, what do you think should be some of the ethical principles you should go by? Let's quickly go online and get ethics of consulting, please, everyone. If you get it, raise your hand and let me give you the platform. Oh, sorry, I just saw the hand. Meanwhile, I was waiting for it. John, please go on.
All right, so where are you? Found ethics of consulting as referring to the principles and standards that guide consultants in their professional conduct.
Okay.
And it says that it ensures that the consultants act with integrity, respects clients' confidentiality, and promotes fair and responsible practices.
Okay.
So, yeah. Then it talks about that there are some core principles that go with this subject.
Okay. John, hold on for me. Let
integrity.
me comment on this before I forget. So he mentioned integrity, confidentiality. These are key to consulting. Confidentiality, whatever thing you see, you hear, please you zip up, unless if it borders on criminality. You zip up. You don't share in the name of best practices. You go to the organization A and then you start talking about, oh, I was doing a consulting in this particular organization you mentioned, and this is what is going on. And no, the organization can come back and see you. And then also, the organization you are doing the consulting practice in, they will not call you again because they know you are also going to take them out there to another person. So please, confidentiality is very key in what we do as consultants. The organization is going to bear themselves up, open themselves up, their challenges, their difficulties, and this is very important to them. You see, for managers to be able to tell, it's in a way managers telling you that, look, we've been paid to do this job, we couldn't do it. It's about organizations opening up and telling you, okay, we are portraying to other people, our customers and stakeholders that we are doing well, but this is our true state. We are not doing well. That one, it takes a lot for you to be able to even do that. So you don't go betraying their confidence that they've placed in you. It's very important. So it's about being private and being secretive with the information that you get. It's key. Now, confidentiality means protecting information. The information could be organizational information or personal information. This may include details of their financial state, the processes in the organization, their innovations and all that. Please, you don't sell them to another organization. Okay, please go on, Daniel.
So, John Mark, you mean?
Oh, was it John? Sorry.
All right.
Who was reading? Whoever was reading, yes.
Yeah, John Mark. So It gives other core principles of consulting, as you mentioned: integrity and honesty, confidentiality, objectivity, competence, respect for clients, accountability, and fairness.
Thank you. I want to pick on competence. The fact that you're a consultant doesn't mean that you can do every job. The fact, just as being a medical doctor and you are in radiology, then you say, oh, you are sick, come, I'm going to do surgery on you. No, you should know your field and stay true to your field. Please do not take any assignment that you don't have the skills for in the name of money. Please don't do that. It's unethical. Okay. Thank you. So he mentioned honesty, integrity, accountability, etc., etc. Thank you. Daniel, do you have anything to add?
Yes, Ernest. I think John has made mention of the key ethical principles but when I also Googled it, I had some ethical challenges in consulting, which gave me conflict of interest, client dependence, data confidentiality, and overbilling. It also gave me.
Can I pick some of them before you go on? Otherwise, I may forget. Old age. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so start with the first set before we go to the second. So I had
we have
overbilling.
Overbilling as part of the ethical challenges in consulting. You have overbilling, we have data confidentiality, you have client dependence, and then conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest, very important. Let me pick on conflict of interest and overbilling. Now, in your quest for money, please don't overbill. The organization normally will see to, if you belong to a professional body, they can also report you. It's better you get what is due you than to rip off an organization. They can also tarnish your image. Remember, they can also, even as part of publishing their annual financial report, it will come up in their discussions. So many people come up to know that, hey, so for this small consultancy business job, this is how much this consultant charge. And then it starts going out. Oh, this consulting firm, they charge too much. They charge too much. By the time you realize, you would have collapsed your own business. So it's very important. Then conflict of interest. What is conflict of interest? Class, what is conflict of interest? Conflict of interest. Anyone to help us? Okay, Gifty.
Good morning. So this is when you act in your own interest and not in the interest of the principal or whoever has assigned you to do something.
Okay. Okay, so Gifty says when you act in your own interest and not in the interest of the organization. So what Gifty is also talking about brings in the agency problem. Agency problem. Okay, thank you. Any more ideas on conflict of interest? Conflict of interest? Okay, so conflict of interest is a situation where concerns of two different parties are incompatible. So concerns of two different parties are incompatible. So there's an interest between two people, but then the two interests conflict with each other. Now, it could be a situation in which a person is in a position to derive personal benefits, like what Gifty was talking about. So you have personal interest because there's personal benefits in you from the actions or decisions that are made in an official capacity. In this case, when you are making that that decision, and you start to gain personally, then there's conflict of interest. What we do is you have to declare the conflict. the conflict of interest has to be declared. Then the organization will say, oh, okay, once you've declared it, what measures are you putting in place? If you can put in these measures, you can still go on. Or the organization can say, no, because of this conflict, we can't allow you to. Always declare conflict of interest. If you don't declare it, we take action against you. It means you are not honest. You're not a person of integrity. So anytime there are two interests which are incompatible, it may be that yes, you're occupying that position, or as a consultant, you stand to benefit. You have other businesses, so if they take a particular decision, it's going to affect your other business positively. You need to let them know that you have this business and this is the case. Then they'll say, oh, then once you've declared it, then that's fine. Even with your knowledge from that business, we want you to advise us. We are going to take the final decision, so it's fine. Or no, because you are also into this business, we want you to step aside. Please, conflict of interest has to be declared. And avoid conflict of interest, because it will tarnish your image as a consultant. All right, please, let's move on. Okay, Rebecca says maintaining honesty, integrity, and professionalism in all interactions. Thank you very much. Avoid conflict of interest. So Rebecca has also added that. Thank you. Please move on. If there are any more you want to add.
So, so I had some also which says best practices under consultancy: establish clear boundaries, maintain transparency, prioritize client interests, and then continuously develop expertise.
Continuously develop your expertise. Otherwise, all you have in your hand is a hammer. Every other thing else becomes a nail. So there are some people who are refusing to improve. You want to improve the organization, please, it's your responsibility to start improving yourself. Continuously learn. It's very important. Thank you very much. Let's take, is it Deba? Beda, sorry. I think I'm always changing your name. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Beda.
Beda.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Please move on.
So, Anas, please, mine has to do with an example. So let's say I'm a transport consultant in maritime transport, and John Mark operates a shipping line. And John Mark has contracted me to give him an in-depth knowledge into maritime consultancy. And I give him the consultation, but I give him a condition that he should just use the knowledge I have transferred to him. If it profits him, then he should just give me something. Is it ethical or is it unethical? By not giving him an exact amount to pay me.
So which aspect are we focusing on? The fact that you said he should give you something. Oh, you work there.
No, I don't work there. No, I don't work there. John Mark has contracted me as an external consultant.
Okay.
And I give him the condition that I'm not charging him for the consultation, but he should apply the knowledge I have transferred to him. If it profits him, then he should just sort me. Is he ethical or is it unethical?
Okay, so that's an agreement between the two of you. So
Exactly.
that one is ethical, but organizations will not do this open contracting. I will rather caution that organizations should not do it because it's too open and not specific. Before the person starts the contract, starts the assignment, you should have a contract in place. So if the person is not going to charge for the consulting, but wants to tie anything to the profit that comes out, we should be clear how much of it. Maybe 5%. If you are able to meet this target, I get 5% out of the proceeds. For how long? So you can't have an open-ended contract. Otherwise, that would not be a good business decision by the organizational members. So it has to still be clear. Give me something, it's not clear enough. So organizations don't do that. Be clear, how much do you want? Or just say, okay, so we can't go this direction, but we want you to charge for just a consultant and end. After all, if the person is not ready for it, it's just like a courtship. Some people court for 11 years and still end up meeting someone in a month and settling down the second month. Am I?
True.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
Oh.
in the case of me not overbilling somebody, are there standards? Are there standard in place to check those overbillings and then underbillings and those stuff?
Okay, so and that's one of the difficulties with consulting, because so many people are also involved in consulting and the field. Few of them join the professional bodies. It's very difficult to manage them, but it's about time that we get, especially I'm talking about Ghana, that we get this field well structured. We have some of the professional bodies, especially with the OD. I have to check for you, management consultant, because I belong to the OD also field. That's where I tilt towards a lot. So they are professional bodies. Once they are professional bodies, the organization can also appeal to them and say, okay, this is how much I'm being billed, and so I want you to intervene. But it's also just like the health field, where you go to the private hospital and the charges vary. So there's no charge for if you have malaria, this is how much we charge you. If you have typhoid, this is how much you charge you. If you're going through cesarean section operation, this is how much you charge you. It varies. It's the same thing. So it varies, but at least you still will know, even though there are no specific amount, you still will know if you go to an organization, you are doing CS and they charge you an amount, you still will be able to know that, oh, this amount is reasonable. Oh, this an amount is unreasonable. So now that is how the field is operating until we can get structures in place to say, okay, for various works within this and that, this is how much you should charge. So it all depends on the bargaining power of the organization. Otherwise, you'll be ripped off.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the clarity.
You're welcome. Okay, so Beatrice, your hand is up. Go on.
Ernest, we mentioned competence as one of the core ethical principles of
Yes.
consulting. And then when I'm reading about it, it says that you should only take on work you are qualified to perform. And now
Perfect.
I'm thinking that we have some people who take up the job and then they'll subcontract. Are we saying that such situation is unethical?
Please declare it to the organization, and no organization will also want it. That I've given you the job, and you've also subcontracted the job. What you can do is partner with other organizations. That is allowed. So, for instance, when you get a job, and you realize that an aspect will be about strategy development, you are not a strategist. You can partner with another consultant or consulting firm that is into strategy, so they will handle that aspect. Then another aspect you are going to handle, there's another aspect about governance, which you're also not an expert in, so you bring in an expert. So yes, you're allowed to come in with an expert of consultant, but remember, you are taking the contract, and so you will be held responsible. But then to take the assignment and then totally sublet it to another consulting firm is not ethical. They gave the work to you based on what you presented. You see, you have to send your proposals and all that. So they are thinking they are dealing with you, and then you come in with another firm to do it under your name. You are not being ethical.
Thank you very
Just
much.
looking at how much you benefit out of it. So you are not being ethical. There's also conflict of interest even here. Please, is that one clear?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. I'll take John Mark.
Yes, Ernest, just on the question that Beda asked earlier, just to add that in my field, I'm a lawyer. In my field, we have our scale of fees set down by the Bar Association, which guides us in our charging. So even if you come to us to consult for even an hour, we do per minute billing and per hour billing. Those processes are there where you can even track that, okay, having charged you this amount, I've gone beyond what I should have charged or below what you should charge. And we have the General Legal Counsel that you can report a lawyer to whom I have breached any of these, laid down standards. So yes, the field may be broad for other areas, but at least I know that within the legal profession, that standard is there. On the question that I think if you was asking about subcontracting, what I also know is that in the contract process, by the time you are done with everything, you are going to sign off the contract. In some instances, it is stated clear that you cannot subcontract this project, or you can only subcontract subject to, our approval or consent. So the modalities for other subcontracting, a part or otherwise of it is there, because the danger is that, but when you get out of that office, from that table with a signed contract without talking about subcontracting, and you go subcontracting any aspect of the transaction or the contract, you may end up in conflict, because maybe the entity you are giving that as part to is in conflict with us already. And that's why we start creating shell companies, and we're going to have issues with compliance, have issues with international standards, where corruption will come in, and eventually you have messed up the whole project. So there's that clause of you don't subcontract, or if you want to subcontract, to subject to consent, and then it can move on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So today we've gotten professional advice, just that this one we are not paying, it's free. Thank you so much, John Mark, for giving us the legal perspective. So you see, it's also important we take note as organization that we have a clause on subcontracting. Otherwise, by the time you realize you are dealing with another organization that you did not contract. Thank you so much for that enlightenment. And I like
that will be 5 marks in advance for John.
Oh, John. No, John.
It's
John
free.
He's not taking anything.
But honest, just one more.
Yes.
Something that happened even quite recently with my organization. So we wanted to purchase CCTV cameras, and then the firm that we contracted, that the procurement guys contracted to get this done, unfortunately, they were on the short list of sanctioned, companies by our external partners. So just to say that sometimes if you don't declare or make known where you are even sourcing your resources from to enable you to perform your role as a consultant, assuming you have been given a further role, you may end up even using a company that is under sanctions, international sanctions. By the time you realize, because you have breached the international sanctions clause, you have actually landed the firm you are consulting for in another, a much bigger trouble. So it is always important, and this subcontracting is an issue among many of us. People go for negotiations, they have in mind, they know they are not good. Particularly, with all due respect, our friends who do politics. I mean, you don't declare, you sign off as the one, you get out on the table, next time you now start looking for people who do the work, and eventually fall into wrong hands to do the work, and brings all of us trouble. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. You see, I told you John Mark is generous. He's even added without requesting for pay. Thank you so much. That's interesting. Very good insight that we've gotten from John Mark. So please, this is an issue, and I'm glad it's also come up for us to discuss it. But the consulting industry should start moving towards, for instance, what is happening in the legal field, where they have various charges, at least. But that one, I'm interested. I want to know, because lawyers, John Mark, you charge your papa.
It's just at the scale of this.
Okay. You see, now he started defending. We won't go there. So I think the consulting field should move in that direction. So then things will be clearer, and people will not feel that they've been overcharged, or if you're undercharged, then hooray, you wouldn't talk about it negatively. But then if you're overcharged, that's where the problem is. So that it's about time that the consulting field start looking at it. So if you start going into that, start thinking of how you can get us there. Okay, any other thing, please, on the ethics before we move on? Okay, let me quickly check my timetable and see how we are doing. Bismarck, what time are we supposed to have our break, or there's no break?
10 o'clock, madam. 10 o'clock.
10.
Yes,
Oh, it's
madam.
just 4 minutes to 10.
Yes, madam.
Okay, and then what time are we coming back? 30
10:30.
minutes.
Yes, 10:30.
All right, so can we take our break now, because I'm starting the next unit and we'll not be able to, this one we've talked about, I'm starting this unit, we'll not be able to get far. So please, you owe me some few minutes. Let's start at 30 minutes from now. We're coming back 10:30 on the dot. Please, is it fine with everyone?
Yes, bro.
Great. Enjoy.